But as strange as it sounds, Skinwalker Ranch may not be the only location where these interdimensional doorways occur. Just take, for example, a case that came to light in January of 2014, in which a Wisconsin rancher named Leroy Smith reportedly witnessed a very similar phenomenon. The winter was particularly bad in Wisconsin that year, with a frigid blast of Arctic air perpetually blanketing much of the rancher's property in ice and snow. Leroy says that the strange happenings usually occurred when the snowstorms were at their worst. Much like Terry Sherman's experience on Skinwalker Ranch, the phenomenon would begin with an orange vortex-like structure appearing over the horizon, just above the treetops. This structure was only visible from one direction, that is, it could only be seen when looking at it head-on. From the sides, this bizarre tunnel of light was so thin it was almost two-dimensional. Head-on, however, the old rancher could stare in amazement as the tunnel opened up in the middle of the sky and creatures dropped out of it. Yes, that's right. This Wisconsin rancher saw big, hairy creatures descend from the spinning sky vortex. He also saw creatures much more akin to the traditional skinwalker, dog-like animals that would jump from the opening, hit the ground, and then take off running on two legs. Although Wisconsin is admittedly a bit removed from the traditional source of skinwalker lore in the southwestern United States, the bipedal dogs Leroy describes have an undeniable similarity to the shape-shifting dogmen of Navajo legend.
One interesting difference between the sightings that occurred on Leroy Smith's ranch in Wisconsin and those at the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah is that whatever dropped out of the Wisconsin portals left footprints behind. The fresh footprints in the snow looked exactly as if they had been made by an ordinary flesh and blood being, but strangely enough, they would begin out of nowhere. It was as if whatever made them had just dropped out of the sky exactly as Leroy describes. Attempts to track this creature were fruitless, however, as the trail of the beast would disappear just as suddenly as it had begun. Before NIDS was shut down in 2007, the team had one more encounter with a portal on Skinwalker Ranch, but rather than seeing something drop out of it, this time they witnessed a strange Bigfoot-like creature jump into a portal. On this occasion, the researchers and ranch hands were in hot pursuit of a strange, hairy, bipedal creature. Incredibly, just when the Bigfoot seemed to have been cornered, it ran up a hill, jumped into a large orange tunnel that appeared out of thin air, and disappeared. The entire tunnel immediately vanished as well. It seemed as if the being had created an opening in the fabric of space and time at will, and then, as soon as it had crossed over, shut the door behind it so no one could follow. If true, this mind-bending phenomenon is proof positive that whoever serves as interdimensional doorman at Skinwalker Ranch is in complete control.
As well funded as Bigelow's study of the Skinwalker Ranch was, as the 1990s drew to a close, the team of investigators seemed no closer to getting to the bottom of things than when they had first arrived. From the very beginning, former owner and current ranch hand Terry Sherman had insisted that the research should be approached like a hunter stalking wild game. He believed that since whatever was behind the phenomena was obviously watching their actions, any overt show of cameras and other instruments would make the unknown force go into hiding. Terry advocated employing as much stealth as possible, only using minimal equipment, and setting up discrete viewing posts far away from each other. The NIDS researchers did not follow this advice, however. Instead, they installed cameras all throughout the property, set to film just about every square inch of terrain 24 hours a day. But just as Terry had feared, as soon as these cameras were put in place, the camera-shy skinwalkers made themselves scarce.